So, Chancellor, these numbers, how are we reaching escape velocity, as you might call it?
Well, the economic numbers are better than forecast. Britain is holding its nerve. We're sticking to our plan. And the economy is on the mend, but we still have a long way to go. And I'm absolutely clear we've got to help families for whom times are still tough by doing everything we can to build an economy that works for everyone.
So, some people depict this recovery as lopsided, as imbalanced. And if you look at the longer term trends, not just this quarter, production and construction are still way below their peak, 8%, 6% below. Should you not have done more to support those sectors and not just what we've seen in the service sector?
Well, actually, one of the encouraging things about today's figures is that for the first time, all sectors of the economy are growing, first time in many years. And we are determined to create a more balanced economy, an economy that is not wholly dependent on the City of London, 100 miles to the south of where we're doing this interview, but actually one where all parts of the country grow and the private sector creates jobs, as it's doing. And when it comes to construction, a construction industry engaged in big infrastructure projects that are going to help the economy for many years to come, not just provide a quick fix. And a housing sector supported by a Help to Buy scheme. So across the piece, the British government is doing everything we can to create a more balanced economy that works for everyone, in which everyone can benefit from the recovery.
If you'd given more support to construction or production, the economy might now have regained all the lost ground. I mean, was that not a missed opportunity? This is not a moment for celebration because we're still 3% below our peak.
What I'm saying is the economy is on the mend, but we've still got a long way to go. And of course, at the heart of what we're doing is making sure the public finances are in order, that there's not a catastrophic loss of confidence in the British economy, as there has been in many European economies. And we've achieved that, but we're also creating a more competitive economy, more balanced, where businesses can grow, businesses like this, and hire people and take people on. And you see that in the fact that over 1 million jobs have been created in the private sector. So we're absolutely determined. We know we've got, as I say, a way to go, but we're determined to stick to our plan, and the British people, I think, have held their nerve.
If the economy is on the mend, does that not mean the Bank of England should start to think about raising interest rates?
Well, look, the Bank of England will make its own decisions. It's obviously independent. I've asked them very specifically to come back in a couple of weeks' time with their thoughts on what's called forward guidance, in other words, giving a future indication of the path of interest rates. And look, I'm not going to prejudge that. That's their decision. But I changed the MPC remit in order to ask them to think about that.
Some would argue that having made a very cogent argument against a bubbly property economy, that now you've seen the white of the eyes of the problem in the economy and you've just gone for two speeds being better than none, boosting the housing market as a last resort.
No, I don't accept that at all. And I think, frankly, when you look at what's said by some about the Help to Buy scheme, it does not bear relation to the reality of the housing market. The housing market is still very subdued. The number of first-time buyers is half what it was. For people with good incomes and secure incomes, the deposits being asked from mortgage companies are still way beyond what many of them can afford. Now, that is because of the impairment in the banking system. It's a consequence of the financial crash. And I think it's perfectly sensible for the government to intervene and fix those problems. And it's entirely consistent with what myself and David Cameron and others have been talking about for many years, which is an active monetary policy, fixing the problems in the banking system, but anchored by secure and credible public finances.
The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, has said that Wonga should, he's going to try and shut down Wonga. Is that the right position for a cleric to be taking?
Well, I have a huge amount of time and respect for Justin Welby. I have personally appointed him to the Banking Commission because of his expertise in this space. I think he's right that we want to make sure that families have a great range of people and institutions they can borrow from. So I support what he's saying about credit unions. And I also agree we've got to make sure that payday lending and the like is properly regulated, which it hasn't been before. And so we're creating, and we have created, this powerful new consumer regulator, the Financial Conduct Authority, which can look at all these issues.